Welcome to TradingLounge and the global indices, and starting with the SP500. We've been working through this A, B and C wave here and looking for 5 waves, so we're very close to the end here. I do think there's another low, but I also understand too that tops and bottoms don't always end as planned, so we need to be a little bit mindful of that. I know this wave 4 here has come quite close to this wave 1 here, but when we have a look at the Nasdaq in that instance, we can see that the Nasdaq is much higher in this instance, and we'll come back to that. But obviously, we'll also need to understand the bearish side of this market in case it drops down further. So in that case, we can go to our bearish count, which is here. And in this instance, from the low here, we can simply look at the whole move down from the top as the A wave, and then an A and a B and a C wave up here for the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So if we do get 5 waves down, then we're going to get a correction and get another 5 down. So this low here from this point down to this point, once those 5 waves are completed, and you can see that we have wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. It just hasn't given me a nice 5 waves from the top to the bottom here for this. So anyway, a little bit of work to do here on the lows, and also with the with the Nasdaq stocks that we keep, we know that the banks are in a bit of a weak situation, and that's sort of holding the S&P down somewhat, and some of the other sectors as well. But when it comes to the tech stocks, we're starting to see some strength come into those. So there's always a bit of a mixed bag. There's leaders and followers. So we see stocks like Meta platforms, Google. They're kind of showing strength to the upside, and stocks like Netflix, still need to finish off their lows as well. And there's some very bearish ones like Square, and so on. So there's a bit of a mixed bag out there. So let's just cruise in here. So in a nutshell, before we turn bearish, we'll just stay with the bullish count in terms of the A, the B, and the C wave down here. But it's just, I don't have all the answers in here, that's all. So based on that, we'll go into the 20K, the intraday, the starting point, and we're looking at it like this here. This is the correction, the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. So wave 1 and 2 is fine, wave 3, 4 is fine, and just, I'd like to call a low in here, but I'm just not really getting the 5 wave move in here in a satisfactory way. So I do think that we could experience one more low here. Thursday's got a habit of opening higher and then trading lower for the day. So we'll see how that goes. Just moving in here to further in the intraday to look at this here. So it's still the same. The B, the 1, the 2, tracking 5 waves down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can see that a little clearer as we drill in here a little bit further. So yeah, this is the tricky bit here, going from wave 4 to wave 5 here. I certainly don't want to put a wave 5 low in here, even though it's made a low here. The Nasdaq hasn't made a low here, by the by. So we'll compare those two in a minute. So I do think there's another low down here. Yeah, so there's different ways I could look at this here. I think the Nasdaq's kind of interesting in that as well. So I'll just go right into the 1000 tick area here, and from this top here, yesterday we're counting down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave and the fourth wave. So I could look at this. I could get a low in here. I could put that in as the low. But I was thinking that we could either have it as the low, or we have it all of this move down here as wave 1, and we come back as an A and a B wave here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. Doesn't count very well, got overlap, and looks like it wants to push up further based on the stochastics here as well. So that could take us up to this point. So there's something going on in here that I'm not quite sure about. So I'll just wait for another session, so I could help clarify that. But it is interesting when we have a look at the Nasdaq here, because in this instance here, we can look at this B wave over here. We can look at this as 1 and 2 here. And if you've got a keen eye for Elliott, you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, right? So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. So this one here hasn't made a low below here on the S&P. It has, but it's held up above this previous low here. So that means that I still think we're in wave 4 here. So 1, 2, 3. And still in wave 4 here. So that's what I was sort of thinking of. And when I was talking in the stocks today, in the stocks video this morning, and when you've got some stocks that are bullish and some that are bearish, we have to remember that the indices here are a bit of a moving average of all of those. This is the Nasdaq 100. So this would vibrate between being bullish and being bearish. So if I just go, oops, not this one, I think it was a 20k, sorry. So this particular low here, this low here on the S&P has made a new low here by a long way, really, because that's the previous low. So it's very clearly come down through here, and on this instance here, this one hasn't made a low below here. So the obvious sort of thing here would be an A and a B and a C and a D and an E wave here, and then come down. But when you think about it, this coming down here, I mean, when something comes out of a triangle, it doesn't normally have a long move. We could normally take this length here, and there's a few different ways to do things, and the E wave would be dropping a bit lower at that point. So we could only be down here for this, finishing off in this space over here, roughly just edging in a new low here. So an A, B, C, D, E. I'm not quite sure. The other way to look at this, I guess, is already having the low in place over here. Bring this wave 4 in over here, but then I don't have a nice 5 waves to finish off at that point. That's my issue. So I can't, just using this as an example, I can't use that as 1 and 2 here just yet. I mean, I could get away with it, but I don't have that this 1, 2 here. 3, 4. So I still feel like I'm in this wave 4 here. So yeah. So look, in a nutshell, just sort of shoot the breeze a little bit. I just want to be sure. I don't want to call a low in here without enough evidence. So yeah, I can see the confusion in my mind, because it's really coming from some stocks being bullish and some being bearish, and we're getting that sort of vibration in here. So I'll accommodate that in my headspace, and I'll wait another session to see what we've actually got here. I don't want to call a trade in long or short in this instance, but that's kind of that's how I sort of see it so far. Now the Russell's a bit weaker, and it could come much lower. We could also, this is a weekly chart here, we could also look at the ABC pattern that we're looking at with the Nasdaq and the S&P. We could look at that here as an A and a B and a C wave here for this. And then in some way, I mean, as I mentioned before, all of this particular pattern here is, very bearish in that light. It does make a nice ABC pattern up here, ABC pattern. So, so I could wingle it a different way. So what I wanted to do here was that this A wave coming down, the B wave here, and the C wave here, which could also be wave 3, then a 4, and then a 5. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know that. So this low here is what I'm interested in, and we can look at this as an ABC pattern here, or 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. So we'll see how that lands there. When we look at that on this market here, the ETF here, we've either got an A and a B and a C wave down here, or we've got it down as 1, 2, and 3, and then we would end up coming back for, as I mentioned, wave 4 and then wave 5 here. Now, in terms of this particular pattern here, it seems like, it's it seems like we've got everything in, everything's in place here of 1 and 2, and then 5 waves down for 3 here. Obviously this is weaker and it would like to come down. There's probably 5 waves in this little batch here. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I don't want to call a low in here because I think it's still down here further, but it means I'll need to extend it down somehow. So we're short in this, we're out of this at the moment, so I'll just leave it being out at the moment, but we should expect more downside in line with the S&P and the Nasdaq at this point. So we're not completed in here for this, so but I'll leave that. And then we come over to the European side of the markets, and we understood that this first move down here was, we got an ABC correction here for this. So I could do it in other ways. I could look at this as, wave A down over here, for example, and I could put wave B over here and have some sort of A, B, C, D, and E over here, some B wave, and then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here and be completed here, the DAX is, it kind of, moves in and out with the SP500. So it's possible to, see it also complete down here as well. In terms of the 1, 2, 3, 4, and looking for wave 5 down here in this instance. I can count it being completed actually, which is kind of interesting, in terms of 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and 5 the third, fourth. It doesn't finish off that nicely as not a clear 5 waves down here, but it is there. We can work with that. If I've made a mistake here, then I'll need to put this wave 4 over here. I'm not going to call a low in here. I can see we've got an impulse wave here and it'll want to go up a little bit further. So the first step would be to look at it like this here, but we're already at 38.2%. So, if it got support on top of the 15,200 here, then we've definitely got another pattern coming into play. And if we're going to get another pattern into play, then it'll be wave 3 here with wave 4 here. So this would be the A wave here, the B wave here, and some sort of push up for the C wave here would be a better bet at this point. And that would keep it in line with the S&P as well. It's just lagging a little bit, so we could look at this as wave 1 here. So an ABC for the A wave, and then the B wave as the 3-wave move, and then down for 1, and ABC for wave 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here for the 3rd wave, and then the 4th wave coming into play here. It does look a little bit impulsive there. I haven't actually had the time to pull it apart. So we'll just see how this sort of plays out. But like if the Nasdaq is going to travel sideways, that's going to give this a little bit of time to play out here. And then then have another move down through here for this. Now I've got this as wave 4 here as well, but it's probably not the right count in all of that. So if there's going to be a bigger bearish pattern here, then I'll just go in and just go to the daily chart here for a moment and look at the bigger pattern for this here. So the bigger pattern for this would be that we're obviously in a downtrend at the moment with this, and with the S&P and the Nasdaq and that, I was just sort of like looking for another low here, and then we could push up from that point, and then I could call that the wave 4 that I was looking at. I won't go into that count at the moment, but that will be putting the wave 4 here. But the bigger count, if this was going to, if we actually can count 5 waves to the top here, then we need to look at it as a wave 1 to the top here, and then we'll have an A wave here, and a B wave, and a C wave here. But the issue with this is that because we've got 3 waves in this first move here, that's a bit of an issue. Like I said before, we could put the A wave here and just shooting the breeze here, the B wave here, and call a low in here and put that there, and that would be done at that point, right? But if it pushes out any further, then we may end up in some larger sort of pattern here. And even if it was a large, because we're working in 3 here, that means that this would be the A wave here, the B wave over here, and the C wave. Well, not even the C wave here. In fact, this would be 5 waves here, and then we would have, once this is finished here, then we would have this and this, another move here as an A and a B and a C, and then an A, B, C here, and I'd probably have to turn this into a WXY based on that little move in here. So anyway, I won't drag it out at this point. We've got really good support at the 15,000. We'll tie it into the to the S&P. We'll try to figure out the low here, and we either push up from here, or we end up sort of down here for this. But I want to keep it in line with the S&P at the moment and the Nasdaq, because it is the Nasdaq leading to the upside. We can see lots of weakness in the market, as I mentioned, with stocks like Block, Square, whatever you want to call it, those sorts of things, and the banks aren't that happy, and they can come down further as well. Okay, so that puts us over into the to the UK market here. And it's kind of interesting, really, because this pattern here, we can see that, well, we're working, this is pretty clear to see here that we've got 3 waves here. We've got 5 waves down, then a correction, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we've got this in 3 waves here, and it's taken out the top over here. Now, I could probably get 5 waves out of this, but I would have to come down here as wave 1 and 2 in here, and 3, 4, 5 for this. So it just counts better as a 3-wave move, really. So I probably have to WXY this here, which doesn't really make much difference, really, if I'm going to have it as wave D over here. So an A wave, a B wave, a C wave, an ABC for the D, and then the E wave over here. So currently we've got 3 waves down here. So this could play out in lots of different ways. So all I was going to do is just, you know, move it in line with the DAX, and the DAX is kind of connected to the S&P, so I'm just kind of following that vein of things. So I could certainly make this more bearish here. That's not really sort of an issue, but what I want to try to do is I want to try to find out, you know, when this leg finishes down here, will we move up with the Nasdaq? You know, will the Nasdaq will stocks like Meta and Google take us higher and lead the way up and start to pull the other ones up off their lows, and then the indices will be, will play into that scene as well. So, yeah, look, it's very easy to be bearish. I understand that. It's probably more difficult to be bullish, and I don't have any evidence of a move to the upside here on this at the moment. We've been counting it down during over this period during the week and whatever. So from the top area over here, we got still not enough. Just want to grab that top in there. So I'd been looking at it as this top on this high here, and looking at this as 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the A wave, the B wave here. So we got, and when we got this B wave in here, we were just really, the count could have been anything because it wasn't that clear which is the top here. So we took it off the Nasdaq and we had our 50% retracement. So we got the move, we got the turn, and we've just been counting 5 waves down ever since. So what I would like to do is just, I can see in the bigger picture there's a variety of counts, and when I get in a situation where I don't know where something is, I just go to the intraday and try to figure things out from that point. So this is one of those cases, really. So I'm thinking here, there's a couple of things here that we need to talk about. Some things are clear and some are not. So we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and we've got a nice strong third wave here with 5 waves in it. Then this area from this point to this point here, I could look at this as wave 1, 2, 3, 4 here, but wave 4 gives me a little bit of an overlap over here, and put wave 5 in here. So it's possible to look at this as wave 5 as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and have the low in place. But I'm not going to send anybody long, because I wouldn't go long myself in this, and would need much more evidence. I'd need to see some nice larger, if that was wave 1 and 2 here and 1 and 2 here, then I'd need to see something like this. I'd need to have a nice decent 5 waves here that we could buy the pullback on, that type of thing, and move in over this side of it. But I don't have that yet. I'm not going to go in here, and for me it's safety first, not profit first. And in this instance here, if I look at this, if I drag all of this into wave 1 here, and 2 and 3 and 4, then I've still got another low here, and this low, it should be, it looks like this wave 1 is longer than wave 3 here. So this means that wave 5 should be shorter than this one here. So look, I don't have all the answers just yet, but I know that we shouldn't really be going long, and we shouldn't really be going short. So I'll just wait for Thursday to play out. And then we'll see. We'll see what Thursday delivers in all of this here. But yeah, we're at the 61.8% down here now, so we should find sort of support. Obviously the 400's the closest, largest number at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up down at 7.3 for this, bobbing along here somewhere with this. Could we actually, use this as a different top over here? Can I bring the 5th wave over here in some way or not? Well, it doesn't really count that nicely up here, because otherwise I could go wave 1 here and 2 here, and try to get all this as wave 3 here and 4 here, but then 4 overlaps over here, and so it's a little bit sort of complicated. I believe that we're still in the larger triangle pattern with this. So yeah, anyway, I don't want to make a move on this in here. And we're going to move to the Australian market now, and the Australian market is a little bit the same as well. It's, from way back over here, it's been in a triangle pattern for a long time here. And there's other ways to look at it. We could look at this as a low here, and look at this as 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 for an impulse wave to the upside, but there's overlap, and this is really messy in here, and there's all sorts of things here. So looking at this as an A wave here, and an A, B, C for a B wave up here, and then looking at this as a C wave, and then a D, and then an E. I think this is okay like this, and I think the FTSE could play out like this too, even though if I just come back to the FTSE here for a moment, and we're on 20k in here, I think we were looking at 20k here, looking at a possible low in here. Well, that's not totally the case, that we can expand that out quite easily, and we have viewed that before as well in here. So I've just been sort of giving this some thought as well. This C wave could come down to here as well for this. So an ABC here for the A wave, an ABC here, or WXY for the B wave, and then the C wave coming down lower. But I just want to see how the Nasdaq and the S&P affect the DAX and the FTSE at this point. But this could play out, over here, like this much further. I think there's certainly more to go over here. I don't think we've got a low and we're going to go higher here, I think there's more to be had here. And this C wave here, that could also get more complicated as well. Even if we had another low here, we could get something like this, and then this over here, and, blah, 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 and all this. Because that's what I think we're in for, something like that. Or or here we have some sort of more flat correction with an A and a B and a deeper C wave coming into here, not this one, but this one down into 7,000 area here. So there's still a lot of, we're going to get small. This whole thing here is diminishing in size. Do you know what I mean? The swings are getting smaller. So I think that this is, we're on the right track. It's just how it's going to play out. And I think the Australian market is in the same boat, with this as well. So yeah, so the B wave up here, and then the A wave here with an A, B, and C for the B wave up here, and then down for the C wave here. So this C wave here can be in 5 waves actually. So it does make a nice B wave over here, and this is like a double B, part of that B, so it's really quite complicated in here as well. You could put this as 5 waves down for an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C here, and then another thing. So you could put probably the whole thing as an A and a B and a C to this point. So it's a little bit complex in here, and you could look at it slightly differently. But it's the thing, it doesn't really sort of matter in a way. It's sort of like I think we still need to come down further for this, but obviously there's going to be, it hasn't retested the 7,000. When something breaks through a market like this, at like a level, likes to go back and test it before it fails. And then we've got support over here as well for this. So in this case here, this would be looking at this here. We could look at it as, well, I'll just draw it out as wave 1 and 2 here. And then this would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So all of this here would be wave 3 here with wave 4, and then down for wave 5 here, hitting this trend line here to make up this wave C here of C here. And then we go into wave D over here, and then E over here. I mean, I think it's something like that, you know. You know, there's work that we can do on the intraday, of course. You know, we were looking for it to come down and all of that to be in line with the S&P and so on and so on, and, you know, connecting all the markets, you know, joining all the dots together and so on. So I think this is something like this here, you know, and once we get to here, then, because I think the banks need to come down further as well. You know, when we have a look at the banks, if I may just go to here, let me just get this into some sort of shape here a little bit so we can have a look at it. So we looked at the consumers yesterday, didn't we? You know, this one, this one, the consumer staples here, and it was pretty easy to see that, if we just go to the daily chart here for a moment, it was pretty easy to see that we also need to finish off down here for this, because we've got this nice ABC here for the A wave, the A, the B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C wave of B, and then we've got these down here. We've got 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth, fifth. So we've still got, you know, we're talking about the equinox next year for that, March the 21st or whatever it is, 23rd, wherever you are in the world. So yeah, I still think this is, you know, this here, I don't think we finish this until next year, and I think that's where the XJO is, as you know, as well with all of this. So the XJO would be basically over here for that, you know, this wave E over here, bringing this through here, because this will all tighten up. I've probably drawn this too big here, but this point over here will probably be the 21st of March next year, something of that nature. Yeah, so something over there, you know. But just going back to this here and checking out the banks here, this is the XXJ here. You know, this has been in a triangle pattern here too, you know, just the banking sector here for quite some time here. So that being the high here, I've got this as the A wave here, the B wave here, the C wave here, the D wave here, and the E wave over here. So, I mean, this is a sort of short version of it. I could probably extend that out further, but yeah, you know, it's definitely, you know, it's, I mean, taking out this low here, which I think the finance sector has done actually on that note. Yeah, the finance sector has taken that low out here. That kind of helps it to be a bit bearish at this point. And anyway, with the banks, you know, if I always use CBA as the leading bank. So if CBA, you know, found support on 100 here, I'll just remove this here just so we've got a bit of clarity here. See, when I look at this here in terms of the trading levels, I can see that it's trying, but in a nutshell, without going into a lot of detail, that's the 100 and it's not support. If that became the support, then we would be bullish. It's as simple as that. How far it drops and what it does is it is a little bit complicated because of those triangle patterns we've just seen with the banking sector. Yeah, once that finds support on 100, then we can be bullish on the banks. It's kind of that simple. And look, it's really wanting to get up there, isn't it? It's just not being able to maintain itself up there. And then we've got the, the material sector here, and that's also in, some type of triangle-y sort of pattern here, and this is pulled around by, obviously iron ore and copper and those sorts of things. So, and we can see that this is in a triangle sort of pattern here as well. So, the other side to this really is just grabbing this, cloning it. Got to get the right words, Pete. Something like this down here for this. So this has still got time here as well, it's not finished. And I know that copper needs to come down. Copper needs to come down further, and copper, they call it Dr. Copper, it's kind of central to many things. So it's a good sort of indicator of what's happening in that material sector as such. We've been tracking the US side of things as well in all of that. I'm just trying to find the XMJ here. So this is the XMJ here. This is the same as the BHPs of the world. So just clean this up here. So this E wave over here is not completed yet. So we've also got a triangle pattern for metals and mining here. So this is made up of steel companies and gold and a few others, and so basically it's definitely a corrective pattern, but we've got some sort of A, B, C, D and E over here. I could probably put the D over here as well, but it doesn't really matter. It still needs to come down. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least to come down here, and this is in line with BHP. So when we look at BHP here, it's the same pattern as the XME. They're out of sync a little bit, but I still feel that we need to come down here somewhere, to complete things off, and that's going to take time, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. So let me just get rid of this. Just wanted to sort of talk about this a little bit before we go in. I think we can just go in and I'll just go to the 20k here and look at things a bit. So I could view it as an A and a B and a C wave here. So we're looking for the low here for that, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and that would be that. But that's not the end of the story here. So that would play it out like that. I could take it to go another count here, taking it in. This is also valid as well. In this case, it would be from the top here, from B going down to C here, would be wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 to here, or 4 to here, and then 5 to here for this. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Okay, so if I took that away and had wave 4 here, then I've got a low in the market. And if I had that low in the market, then I'll come back to wave 4 to the previous degree here, and then we'll go down into wave 5 here. That's one way to look at it. These are the two ways. If I put wave 4 over here, was the case for that, then this would be 1, 2. All of this would be the third wave here, and this would go over to here, and then I'd have a smaller correction here, just coming back here somewhere, smaller corrections, wave 4 here, and then coming down for wave 5 here. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So they're the two patterns that I'm stuck with at the moment. Now, if I go on to the SP500 and the Nasdaq, then it'll be this little move here, and then we'll just push up from that point. So that's 10k. If I go to 5k here, this nuts it out a little bit cleaner here. So yeah, this would be the A, the B, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 to here, and then 5 to here. This would be 1 and 2 here. So if I just grab these little dudes here, this would be 1 and 2 here. So this is where I'm not quite sure where we're at with this. I know that any long trade could be short-lived pretty quickly, and any short trade would be lived pretty quickly as well. So I'm not going to call a trade in here. I can see that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I'm not sure if I just need to use this one here as wave 1 and 2 here, which I think is a good case, and that would bring wave 4 here and then wave 5 down here for this. And this can also be wave 3 here as well, by the by. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so we still got further to come down, which would be sort of in line with the banking sector and the material sector as well. So if we go to 1,000 ticks here and just look at this here. So these are the two wave 4s. It just depends if I look at this wave 3 here and look at this as an A and a B and a C wave for wave 4, or do I put wave 4 over here and then this also becomes wave 1 over here with an ABC at this point. So we've had that clear 5 waves down here. It's not that clear in here really. So this is the 38.2% retracement level for this. So if I have this as wave 4 over here, then I've made a bit of a mess of that there. It doesn't really matter. Sorry about making a mess. But this is what I'm thinking. This and this. So, and the other move is coming further up here for this. But I don't think that, it's more likely this one here. I'll just go to 100 ticks. Sorry to spend so much time on this, but yeah, I'll just put it like this here. So if this is the low here, we can, because seeing if there's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is okay with 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So in this instance here, this would just give us, it looks like we can just go one more move up here and then we come down at that point. Could push up a bit higher. Anyway, that's the target area there. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't really know at this point. I know Thursday's got a habit of opening higher and then trading lower for the day here in Australia as well. So so just keep a bit of an eye on the situation at this point. I'll see where the cash market doesn't have this move down through here actually, so that's a bit of an issue. So I want to see how the cash market opens and what it does. It probably, because this is finishing here, it won't make that new low. That's why I've got it as a B wave here. So we'll see how that sort of plays out. We'll check that tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Sorry I don't have any solid answers for any of the indices, but you can, at least I've pointed out you know, the problems that we're facing with all of the indices. So let's see. I think the answer lies in some of the leading tech stocks, in Meta and Google. I think Amazon and some of these, Microsoft, they still need to make new lows. So yeah, we'll just give it a few more days and see where we end up. Okay, cheers.